There we go, rock and roll, we know. Already where we're heading. To my second home. It is 8 in the morning. Gotta salute the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, and I gotta put on some of those gloves. Got the gloves in the backpack. Those red, which was gifted by my anonymous friend to fight Donald Trump on the Canadian-US border. And financially stressed. I'm broke. But I got trillions of kisses. Lots of rock and roll, lots of hugs, HUG. That XZ. Independent aspie, artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical, honest, and theorist. We're gonna go from my neighborhood, zigzag it up and down, snake it up. And a little bit of that snake love, rock and roll, you know what? I gotta go down by the roads here, and I gotta be prudent. And I encourage you all to work out, train, exercise as I'm doing. It is 8:18 in the morning, Montreal EST, Hawk Island time, and this is another overtime every time OT. With yours truly, androgynous, pansexual, aspie, artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical, analyst, and theorist, who is gonna do some of that. Salute the king, the pope, the sun. That's the one. Salute the king, the pope, the sun. That's the one. Salute the king, the pope, the sun. That's the one. As I go rock and roll for the XYZ. And that's what we're gonna be doing on the LOV side, and that's what we're gonna get doing on the love. For that's what I know. For the X and for the Y, and for the black and for the rainbow. Play that rainbow 24/7 as I go, and here we are on this kind of chilly day here in Notre Dame, NDG Notre Dame, and gotta say grateful, thankful, rent spade, electricity bill spade, and we're heading east, coming from the west, and of course the sun always shines, always sets, and that's how we gotta go doing with that. I gotta watch it so I don't get a bit dashing on the head from the birds, you know. Sometimes gotta get it up on the birds, you know, because you get that L-U-C-K, I guess. And here we're gonna go like a zigzag through my neighborhood, from my neighborhood. Yours truly, please give some charity, millionaires, and I am financially stressed, financially pressed, you know. I got $10,000 in debt, but grateful, thankful, my rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, got food and coffee, and you know, gratitude is a great component for mental health and for wellness and joy, of course. Regular physical exercise. You know, I was a bit moody this morning, but thank goodness God is GODDSS every day. Sun shining blessing with that moon, that I am no longer depressed. I am no longer suicidal. I'm no longer depressed or suicidal as I was, before 2017. When I crossed Canada coast to coast, that event really changed my life. I discuss it often because that is part, of course, of one of my main pillars and my main events, which of course have made me that. I am no longer depressed and suicidal when I crossed Canada coast to coast. When I reached Banff, when I reached Banff, that event made me come out of being depressed and suicidal, and I established a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians, Quebecers, my family. Crossing Canada was really an event which totally, of course, changed my whole complexity, my whole life, the dynamics of my life prior to August 2017, September 2017. You know, August 2017. September 2017, that was the whole dynamics for it. So that was yours truly, regardless of today. As I carpe diem whatever it is, I'm celebrating as well. Celebrating 5 years since I survived COVID. I got 3 vaccines, triple vaxxed. But between February 7th, 2020 and March 29th, 2020, 5 years ago, had COVID, and COVID was hardcore. I really thought I was gonna die, and those were my last days. And I carpe diem it every day since, live to the fullest with hope for tomorrow, and turn your heads left and right before you cross the street. You know, you gotta be on the prudent side, because in the public now I got added responsibilities, duties, and obligations myself, you know, which I don't have. If I would have stayed home, I would have not had the same duties and obligations as I do now, marching towards my Pope, the King, the Sun salutations, singing some of that good rock and roll, because it's rock and roll 24/7, geopolitics 24/7, and sports and fitness 24/7. As a matter of fact, I gave myself a deadline to leave by 7:18 a.m. in the morning, and I couldn't resist but do 44 minutes, almost 44 minutes and some seconds, almost 45, but it's like 44 minutes and like 53 seconds or something like that, and I give it for the go. So to do geopolitics, because that's what I do, and I was analyzing the XYZ for the love, and that's what I gotta do, and I gotta love that rainbow with that, and I gotta love that shirt, the rainbow shirt. It's actually a rainbow hoodie. Or something that I would wear. I saw my fellow citizen, but of course, me being part of the LGBTQ plus community, being androgynous, pansexual, sometimes you gotta do it on the go, and sometimes we gotta be on the prudent side of things, and in the public I am hyper vigilant, because I lived, being surprised attacked. I was surprised attacked a few years ago and hit my head, hit my head and had a dislocated shoulder. The whole arm was replaced, I was replaced my arm and at the Montreal Jewish General Hospital a few years ago, and hit my head and was put on some medication. I had I was like in a coma for a few days, like in a coma, and just before those events, when I moved from a moldy place, from a moldy place, and that is what it is, and that is what it is with that. So from a very moldy place, and I moved, and that's what I remember, kind of like blackout, rah. Not Ra like the ancient Egyptian name for the sun. It's the Ra in the Torah, but like RA symptoms, retrograde amnesia. I have problems remembering, difficulties remembering my life prior to moving from a very moldy underground basement. Moldy, lots of mold and lots of black, whitish, reddish, greenish mold, So I just remember kind of moving, and 2017 I was depressed, suicidal, and 2017, I crossed Canada coast to coast. 3.5 days it took by bus. Hell of a bus ride from Montreal to Vancouver. From Montreal to Vancouver, 3.5 days by bus. Then came back from Montreal to Halifax. That was another 25 hours and 44 minutes, and I got those tickets and I'm auctioning them for $1 million each. So that's because I got 4, because I went with my anonymous friend. So that's $4 million. I'm gonna give 2 to my anonymous friend, who wasn't my friend because of the money, because I never had any. Who wasn't my friend because of the money, because I never had any. Who wasn't my friend because of the money, because I never had any. So that's what it is with that, and that's what I gotta go doing, and that's where we gotta go on that loving side, So it's something which I gotta be loving, because it's not all about the money. It's not all about the money. It's not all about the money, and we know it. We know it, eh? You know it, that there's something else, besides money, to rehabilitate and kiss and get that hugging and get that loving, So that's what we gotta do, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. Gotta get for that life, fundamentally life, so. And we gotta work on a lot of things, myself included, eh? Still got a lot of work, especially since I am neurodivergent, part of the Aspie community, have Asperger's, aka high functioning autism. So certain things of the societal nature are very hard and tough and difficult. So we always got to build bridges between myself as an Aspie and the fellow other citizens who are the majority of the population, are neurotypicals. It's 99.56%, more than 99%, because it's less than 1%. 1%, less than 1%, less than half percentile, less than half of a percentile. So less than 1%, and it's about 0.44%, 0.44%, so 0.44%, So that's a small minority of citizens who live with this neurological mental divergent condition, which is often conflated and equated with a mental illness, which is not. It's just that Asperger's, our brains are different. So the wiring constitution of our brains is differently made, and so we have a tendency, certain tendencies and characteristics which the majority of the population, the vast majority, more than 99%, do not have. So being part of this tiny small minority of less than 1%, less than 1%, it's very rare. Certain things just are so difficult for us to comprehend fully. For example, I give you a concrete example. In the past, personal space, my friend always says, stop, I get so close, you know. So the personal space boundaries, such as those dynamics of the society, an aspie might come so close to you, like really 2-3 inches, you know. 2-3 inches, and if, you know, so it's these things which are difficult for aspies, you know, to implement the social norms and written social rules and norms. And unfortunately, there's a lot of aspies who are labeled with violence, and I don't like violence. I do not like violence myself. I don't like violence at all. We can be intense, super focused, concentrated, especially now, see? Because we have special interests. So my special interest is geopolitics. So now I see this train is going, I know it's going west. I know it's driven by somebody. There's staff members and there's citizens populations, right? My brothers and sisters, fellow citizens. And so I know it's going west, but I also know that in the context of today, our public transit is open for potential sabotage by powerful external foreign forces and foreign actors, which, you know, are antagonistic to what I call the North American collective, the North American civilizational collective. The complex of the North American civilization was a philosopher, you know, here we constitute a new and emergent collective, you know. We all come from different places and we established a new civilization. In many ways, we're an emergent one, which is not totally divorced, but is distinct. So it's not totally divorced, but is distinct. It's not totally divorced from Western civilization, but it's distinct. So we have our distinctive apparatus of features, social, cultural, normative, and of course all the layers that come around with it, linguistic and ethno-cultural, but we're new, emergent civilizational complex, you know. So that's kind of the beauty of it. And also myself, because it's today, I'm part of this collective, as all North Americans are, right? Quebecer, I'm a Quebecer, Canadian, North American. I'm a Quebecer, Canadian, North American. And see, now I see the train is going, that train is going east as I'm going east now. So now my brain always has a tendency to put it in the context of the geopolitical realities of today as to the potential of sabotage and whatever have you. Because I have predicted what's happening now back in 2019 in October, November. I have proof of work and I have hundreds of videos of my only creative workout training program system, and hey, that's a beauty. That's a beauty there. That's a beauty there. That's a beauty. So I have predicted what's happening now back in 2019 in October, November, but I predicted it, of course, in a manner, not an overall manner. So I haven't predicted every detail by detail, but I had predicted generally there was going to be an international conflagration. So back in 2019, I predicted, due to the several factors of analysis, this is important because this is part of my work as I do, so forget that I am androgynous, pansexual, whatever the 50-50 man, woman, whatever the case may be. Just you have to focus now on the point that I am also an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist who has predicted what's happening now across the North American collective civilizational complex, but not in a detailed manner. So not all the details, all the actions and details which have concluded and are still ongoing ever since. But of course, since 2019, that's what I predicted. So here I just gotta be careful. Just gonna go a bit roundabout maybe. Careful with the car there. Gotta have prudence, eh? In the public. Anyways, so back to what I was saying. And here, for example, in Quebec, we've made the great North American collective civilizational complex, the great linguistic compromise. The great linguistic the great linguistic compromise of the French language, the great linguistic compromise of the French language, you know, which we love. Myself as a Quebecer, I love my French. I sing it at rock and roll 24/7 in French. But it's of course a North American collective, which we made, of course, the distinction. And I gotta give a little salutation when I see construction workers. I always sing that rock and roll for the construction workers, the cranes, and how they build, you know, the buildings. Because I call for the building. I will to build the forgotten goddess temple. That's because I created my survival to the forgotten goddess temple, to the forgotten goddess temple. Let's build it on the Canadian-US border, parallel, vis-a-vis, complementary to two in one, just like you get that 2 for 1 with this Adrian Hanna Dragon. Build parallel to the forgotten goddess. Mega structure for the GODDSS. Priestesses, where thou at? Priestesses, where thou at? Priestesses, where thou at? I'm not a hoe, I'm a priestess. I'm not a hoe, I'm a priestess. I'm not a hoe, I'm a priestess. And of course, to complement it, of course, for the other one. And that's what we gotta get doing with that. That's what we gotta get doing on the go to build, of course, the North American Imperial People's Coliseum, the North American Imperial People's Coliseum, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, to be 11 times bigger, greater than the now it's called Caesar Superdome. The new name is Caesar's Superdome. So it changed to free. Before it was Mercedes-Benz. Now it's known as the Caesar Superdome, where the hardball ball, aka blackout ball, one of my favorite Super Bowls of all time, where my 49ers lost, but by only 3 points. But even if you lose by 1 point, you lose. You know, football on any given Sunday. Hey, that's nice. I give it say you lose by 1 point, you could lose by 1 point, you know. So that's just what it is with that. So that Super Bowl was played, and my 49ers lost by 3 points, and so we gotta get doing with that. And so we gotta be on the attentive side. So that's what it is with it. So that's what it is with the Super Bowl, and here we are, you know. My will to build construction workers. My will aside, construction workers gonna rock and roll because they got the technical know-how and the apparatus and the knowledge. But I put on the table trillions of kisses, and trillions of kisses with that to get it on the go, you know. So it's something which we gotta go doing with that, you know. So put trillions of kisses, trillions of rock and roll songs, and feet washing because it needs that body massage with it. Please, millionaires, billionaires, finance the truckers, public truckers, those who pick up the garbage, the recycling the garbage, those who pick up the recycling and the garbage and the collection of the garbage and the recycling. Give them a little bit of that. Finance them for massage therapy sessions, you know, because they picked the compost yesterday. And of course, picking the compost, of course, and the recycling. And of course, the 3 services which I got in my community, in my neighborhood. So it's the public workers, such as this bus driver, and the firefighters, which need the massage therapy session to get it on the go with that. So that's what it is with that. That's what we gotta get doing, you know. So please, millionaires, finance the firefighters, those who pick up the garbage, public sanitation, the compost, finance them a massage therapy session, and that's what it is with that. And that's what I'm gonna rock and roll. Call for the construction workers to help build the forgotten goddess temple, the North American Imperial Coliseum, where the first boxing match is gonna be me, Donald versus Trump. Have been him, and we'll continue to challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border. And that's what it is with that. That's what you gotta go doing with that. And so you're gonna get doing on that love side of things, you know. So being that it is now, and that is to get doing and done, and yours truly to build the forgotten goddess temple and the North American Imperial People's Coliseum, and of course to be parallel to be the pyramid, House of the Dragon. Scarlet and crimson are shades of red. My favorite color. red, R-E-D. That red, and to help build that Imperial People's Coliseum, and to help getting those drills, and help building the 4th building, which I will to build. Thank you, construction workers, Pledge AllegianX Legion's Dollar family. The Rainbow People's Palace for my fellow LGBTQ community and neurodivergents like myself. Aspies, but not only Aspies, people with Asperger's, but others as well, you know. And back to Asperger's, it's something which has been really a struggle, and I only accepted it about 4.5 years ago, about 5 years ago, so 5 years ago. 5 years ago or so, but that's what it is with that. And please, you gotta recycle that. Don't leave that there. You know, you gotta recycle it. So, as a matter of fact, I'm just gonna recycle it because you never know. I mean, there might be some children swallow it, put it. But now I'm gonna have to disinfect my hands. You know, because it's. This has to be recycled. This has to be recycled here. Has to be recycled, so you gotta put it in the recycling bag and put it there. And I don't mind people drinking, you know, but just recycle it, and that's what we gotta get doing. That's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta get done. Because you never know, man. You know, I don't drink much. I guess I'm drunk on goddess pussy juice. I guess I'm drunk on goddess pussy juice. Sometimes, you know. But besides that, we gotta get on that rock and roll sometimes, and gotta get it for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters. LOV rehabilitation. I've been depressed, suicidal. Let's get that Dragon Army. Pledge your allegiance. Legions calling for the formation of a North American integrated new 21st century institution. The Dragon Army, aka the North American Imperial Legion, for security, service, and defense. To be for security, service, and defense. For security and defense. For security and defense. For security, service, and defense. Gotta salute the truckers. Now see, again, my brain switches. So now I switch to geopolitics. So I know that they're heading north. But the other ones, so these are heading north, the other ones are heading south. So they're going south, maybe to the border, maybe with goods that are gonna be tariffs. You know that's not the way to invite us, say. True, North, strong, and free. I was born in the United States 3 times. Once I was born a woman, twice as a man. Served 2 times in the United States Armed Forces. Served 2 times in the United States Armed Forces. Served 2 times in the United States Armed Forces. The wars which I served were 156 years apart. And you see this one's going north, the other one's going south. So interjecting that one's going south, this one's going north, you know. It's always on the man. Maybe those go to the border, get that tariffs on it. Let's get rid of those tariffs and support the dream, the dancing goddess, and the dragon kingdom, which is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership across the North American collective civilizational complex, across the North American civilizational complex. And now my brain, of course, meditates on the supply chains. So this is a supply, part of the whole supply chains of the North American collective. Part of it is here in this 2.5 million city metropolis, which is like a big island metropolis. Is like a small country. It was the most populated for many years, but now, of course, is one of the most populated in North America, top 7, top 8. So always meditating. And now I try to see from the micro perspective from Montreal, and including Quebec, and Canada, Quebec, Canada, and of course the whole North American collective, which collective extends the North American civilizational collective complex, extends all the way to Mexico, So they're going south, the other ones are going north. So that's what it is with that. And they're going north and south. And of course, I put it in a context of my geopolitical analysis again, which I date back to 2019 in October, November. So that's what it is with that, and that's what it is with the LOV, and that's what it is with the what they're doing, you know. So that's what I was saying. that now my meditation goes, of course, east, west, north, south, and how potentially we're open for sabotage or the supply chains, and not be only sabotaging also ourselves with the tariffs. I believe, I'm far from being a Trump supporter. As a matter of fact, I have been and will continue to challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border ever since the imposition of tariffs in 2018. And that's when I got into politics. Before that time, I was not in politics. I was just coming out of my depression, being suicidal, and then, I challenged Donald Trump because he implemented tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel, 10%, and now with these new 25%, especially for cars, ain't no way to invite us like that. Should have known better to invite us with some pie baking, some apple pie baking, some cherry pie baking, some bacon pie baking, some orange pie baking, some strawberry pie baking, all pie, and dance, and marching bands dancing, and some football, and some financing of the 40. The latest figures are not yet in, but we're gonna get close to 45 million soon of the population. But to invite us to finance fellow Canadians to go visit the 50 states. I don't know about that 51st state. I believe my fusion of the True North Strong and Free Best by PPP, and please sign an executive order to mass finance healthcare. Please sign an executive order to rebuild the North American inner urban cities, aka the ghettos, to rebuild the ghettos. Please sign an executive order to rebuild the ghettos, the North American cities, and please mass finance the building of the North American Imperial People's Coliseum to be 11 times bigger than the Caesars Superdome, where we're gonna have sports in perpetuitas. We're gonna be having sports in perpetuitas. We're gonna have sports in perpetuitas, Where we're gonna have sports in perpetuitas. Sports in perpetuity. And the first inaugurative event is gonna be Dragon versus Trump. That's gonna be the first one, Dragon versus Trump, and that's what we're gonna be doing with that, and that's how we're gonna get doing, the Dragon versus Trump with that, and that's how we're gonna get doing with that. And just gonna do a little bit of translation. What is that? Oh, that's so that says to refuse the rent increase. Refuse the rent increase. And we do have to build more social housing. By my DRT theory, we're gonna be able to mass rebuild, but we also have the Dragon Army to be for service and security, to keep it, Service and security, to keep it. Service and security, to keep it. To keep the maintenance and upkeep, which you're gonna build new, but the foreign, by the implementation of my DRT, we're gonna be able to. So my dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, is fundamentally a call, for a public-private partnership across the collective, across what I call the collective North American civilization. And the true North Strong and Free is not enough. Freedom and strength, and my brothers and sisters, the USA, the land of the free, home of the brave, the land of the free, home of the brave, it's not enough, We gotta add some LOV. We gotta add some LOV with it, We gotta add some LOV. We gotta add some of that love, Gotta say love more. If you say 44 words, you gotta add one of those 45 words. Gotta be love. So if you say 44 words, gotta say love, baby. I guess that's gonna be a little bit difficult to do in certain situations, but of course, I'm just saying, not in certain situations, of course. But let's say average, That'll be something else, I think we'll be much joyous. But love is also action, and there's different types of love, It's I love dancing. The North American Collective Workers Party best on my public-private partnership, centrism best. Nice red, red, red on my centrism best. Nice red, red, red. All two reds, and I'm the third one. My North American Collective Workers Party best, Pledge Allegiance Legions, and another red there. Is another red? Where's the fifth one? Oh yeah, somebody there. There another red. So my North American Collective Workers Party best, public-private partnership best, my dream, the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom is fundamentally a call. A call for a public-private partnership across the collective North American civilizational complex. Fundamentally, my call to all willing living is for a public-private partnership. It's a public-private partnership, you know. So that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing on the love side of things. And here there was a hospital built there. That's new. So this is new here. It's all being built a few years ago, and that's where I got vaccinated. That's where I got vaxxed. So my vaccine somewhere over there. Somewhere. Tuck, 3 times. Triple vaxxed every year, like 20 when the vaccines came. I believe 2020, 2021, and 2020. No, 2021, 2022, or 2023. Anyways, I got 3 vaccines. I don't remember the exact dates, to be honest. Like I couldn't say September 17th or July 24th or December 3rd. I couldn't say which dates were the dates exactly, specifically in naturalis or this Novus Ordo Secularum type of things. But what I do know is I got triple vax, that I had COVID right at the beginning, and that now I'm celebrating with every step that I take forward towards the mountain, my second home, and round about this island, my home in this life and in another life. That of course, I know, that of course, I celebrate victory over COVID, having survived, and nothing that I will to go back. I just live carpe diem every day, and I call all willing living to support the dream for the North American Collective, for the public-private partnership, to support the implementation of my DRT theory, debt refusion theory, the DRT debt refusion theory, the DRT theory, the debt refusion theory is of course fundamentally for the creation of the UE, the CIT citizen integration theory. And of course the citizen integration theory, of course, to be also complemented by the DFT, democratic fusion theory. And not only that, but the fourth dimension to be love, for the fusion of the North American collective civilizational complex, the complex of the North American collective, the Dragon Army, to be fundamentally the North American Imperial People's Defense Security Service, to be a new institution, public-private partnership base for security service and defense, public-private partnership base for security service and defense, and the Dancing Goddess Army, DGA, for the North American Collective, the North American Collective Civilizational Complex, to dance for the environment, and here we're gonna fix some of those potholes with the DRT, but nonetheless, that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta go doing, you know. So we gotta get. Yeah, I'm gonna cross on the other side because I want to be on the more in the sun. And actually, I can be in the sun all sides, but maybe I should just keep on going. I didn't want to be with in between two. Just wanted to change the road a little bit. Anyways, so back to the DRT, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE. That's what we gotta be doing on the XYZ, and that's what we're gonna keep doing on the love here part of things, you know, because here we got a North American Civilizational Collective, which we gotta get that loving. Who wants 156 kisses? I guess I can give more than 156 to each and every one of the millions, billions, and since I got 718 trillions of kisses, trillions of kisses, created from the goddess, and I lay the foundations for the kingdom, the Imperium Dragonis, the Imperium Dragonis, and the dancing Babylonis. 800 dragon, keep my name out of your mouth if it's not for a blessing. Thanks for understanding. Keep my holy sacred name out of your mouth, rebirthing 800 dragon, if it's not for a blessing. Keep my holy sacred name out of your mouth, if it's not for a blessing. Thanks for understanding. You know, financially stressed, been depressed, been suicidal, been surprise attacked a few times, and hit by COVID, celebrating with every marching step my surviving COVID, survive COVID. Back in 2020, February 7th, between February 7th and of course between February 7th and March 29th, COVID was like a hardcore hit, you know, hardcore hit. So now we're gonna play that Dragon Army, play that defense only. The Dragon Army is gonna be the North American Legion, Pledge AllegianX and you know, we're gonna get a new institution, Canada, join United States, public-private partnership, and to be only solely for security, service, and defense. For security, service, and defense. For security, service, and defense only. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. 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 You know. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. You know. That's what it is with that. And that's what we're gonna build, you know. So we're gonna get on that doing to build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. As I march, every step that I take to the mountain is of course, every step that I take on the mountain is of course a celebration, a victory, victory. Having survived COVID, 7th of February, between 7th of February and March 29th, I had COVID, and I survived it. And I survived it, you know. So having survived COVID, having survived COVID, you know, having survived that COVID, you know, having survived it, I take every day carpe diem it, you know, carpe diem. Rock and roll on the carpe diem, I survived COVID. Ooh, first flowers of the spring, I see. First time I see the white ones. Yesterday I saw some yellow and some blue, some purple. You know, so I love yellow flowers. So I'm always joyous when I see yellow flowers, you know. So just something about yellow flowers that I love, although my favorite color is red. But yellow flowers is just got a special I guess I prefer yellow flowers. Like, not preferred without discrimination, but I love flowers generally, but it's just yellow flowers, which I gotta love. And here, you know, you gotta turn your head left and right, and here I gotta pass by the side, you know, by the side, and there's some more white ones there. See? Ta-da! Oh yeah! Another joyous occasion, I guess. The white flowers for the starlit heaven, and the flowers are blooming, kisses of the sun. Moon goddess, gotta shake it. And these are nice red, you see. Yeah, they're not edible. That I don't know, to be honest. So I don't know. Are they edible, those things? I wonder if, you know, I've been in a type of World War III type of mode since 2019, October, November. And I wonder if those are actually red. Those red little, look like little fruits, little beans. I wonder if they're actually edible. If, let's say, worst case scenario, those could be cooked or eaten or cooked in case of a type of World War III scenario, nuclear war, which is possible now, more than maybe even during the Cold War. And you wonder, because being a geopolitical analyst, theoretical analyst, and theorist, I always got to be on the advisor side, and you wonder how come China, People's Republic of China, not the Taiwan known as the Republic of China. There are two Chinas, but you want to say there's only one China policy? I'll just say, again, I know the whole complexity, the dynamics of the history, but at the end of the day, I'm a Quebecer, Canadian, North American. This is my home. Personally, I do not consider myself, view myself a member of a diaspora. I got Canada tatted up on my arm. Hey, I don't ask me when I got the tats, probably decades ago, and they look like they're from the from more than 20 years ago, for 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 more than 20 years ago, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing with that. And yeah, I gotta cross the, this is like a type of lake, and I gotta be down on the go, you know. So we gotta go doing, you know, and gotta be meditating on the side there. So I wonder if those are a little red are edible, or maybe inside of them are edible. Maybe this green apple is definitely. So that's no food waste. What a beautiful green apple. It's gonna be washed and eaten, no food waste. So now I'm putting the protocols of no food waste. I put in the red hoodie and just gonna put a pause on the vid because I really gotta go to the washroom, you know, so gotta put a little bit of a pause on it. So let's see where we can enter it. Oh yeah, grateful, thankful for the facility, for the facility, for the facility. Grateful, thankful, yeah, for the facility, for the facility, which we are now, you know, on the facility which I utilized, and this I would love to paint it. Bring me some paint. All the benches in the Publik, especially those on Royal, with LOV, to paint. Put a lot of that paint, some purple, some green, some red. Red. It's Friday, and I don't mind doing it over the weekend, whatever, but bureaucracy, paperwork, blah, blah, blah. Bring me the tools, and I'll put that paint, you know. Bring me the tools, and I'll put that paint, you know. Bring me the tools, and I'll put that paint, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing with that, and it's so good to get on that go, you know. So I would actually love, you know, some color, even these ones, just paint them, you know. It'd be something bright, yellow, I don't know, some yellow or blue, some red even. Nice colors, it would be nice there, you know. There's those ones as well. Wow, there's a lot of work. So volunteering. Let's get the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act. Let's get the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act. Let's get the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act. And of course the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act to be doing some of that service. That's something I read in a theoretical paper a few years ago. I believe I started about 2017, because most of my work has been done after I came out of being depressed. I'm being suicidal, and I did spend a few years with kind of like one foot in the streets, one foot in the libraries, read tens of thousands of books, philosophy, geopolitics, read tens of thousands of books, philosophies, and read tens of thousands of books on philosophies, to get it on the go, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing with that, philosophies, you know, philosophies, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing on the philosophy, you know. So there's the mountain. Sometimes we're over there. But that's one of the 3 peaks of the Montreal Mount Royal 3-peak mountain system, you know. 3-peak mountain system, the 3-peak mountain system. It's right between the east and the west of Montreal, and there the residential real estate values are more in the high of the millions, because it's a neighborhood which is rich and affluent in terms of the value of the real estate, not necessarily by karma. A lot of it is inherited wealth as well. second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh generation ever since McDonald. And my brothers and sisters, Canadians, the king is absent. The king is absent. The king is absent. It's time for the republic. It's time for the republic. It's time for the republic. It's time for my DRT theory. It's time for the DRT theory. And fundamentally, as much as I object to the vast majority of Trump's policies, as have been him and will challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match, that's when he imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel. That's when I first started getting into politics. Before that, I was depressed, suicidal, and I started my fitness journey back then. After crossing Canada coast to coast, I started my fitness journey back then. And that's when I started my fitness journey, 2017, you know. So that's what it is with that, and 2017, and that's all we gotta get doing, you know. And 2017. August, September, that is something which I get it on the go with that. And being that I crossed Canada coast to coast is something which we gotta be mindful that we got a great, vast city and vast country. And this city is an island. Island's run by a big river, but the king is absent, you know. The king is absent, and it's time for the republic. And I've been challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match to build the North American Imperial People's Coliseum, the North American People's Coliseum, and that's what it is with that. And there we go, you know. We gotta get that dragon army to mobilize 1% of the population for the North American Collectif for defense, security, and service, and new mobilization from new citizenry and from existing ones, which exist, of course, the RCMP, the police forces, Canadian Armed Forces. Somebody got to rock and roll for our boys and girls in uniform. Ain't nobody perfect. That includes that, me and you. Somebody got to rock and roll for the boys and girls in blue, and men and women in a uniform. And for those brothers and sisters who have been lost their freedom, liberty is new, you know. Liberty is new. Some freedom is a new thing under the sun, Mr. Solomon. And Cobra. It's missing a C. C or C? C like seeing and in visualization, or C as in a letter? Oh, you gotta love the beauty of the English language, you know. The beauty of the English language, you gotta love it on the go, you know. So that's what you gotta get doing with that. And that's what I gotta get doing, and gotta get loving, you know, to get it on the do. So it's something which we gotta be loving, you know. And that's what we gotta get on that love side of things, you know. But yeah, to my brothers and sisters who lost their freedom, they're something new, eh? So I gotta rock and roll for those who do their rehabilitation, you know, the second chances, because I got second, third. I say if I wouldn't have not moved where I used to live, having that blackout memory loss, sometimes it comes back. Maybe COVID caused it. Maybe surprised at being attacked. Flashes of violence committed against me, and I have so many scars. Literally, it's got proof on my body of literal scars, and not just abstract notions, but on the whole body, even on some parts, you know. Androgynous, rocket, rainbow, clit, dick, clit. Anyways, so that's what it is now. But I'm joyous, just financially stressed. And back to what I was saying to my brothers and sisters, you know, who also get their second chances to turn their life around. That's always something I gotta rock and roll for, you know, because we need to build those 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war. Number after 43 before 45. 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war, because you want the white China build, you know. White China built, you know, the 44, so they haven't tested an ICBM rockets in more than 44 years, and since 1980, and last year they tested, and in the past 5 years they built more nuclear warheads. more nuclear warheads. More nuclear warheads than in the past decades. You know, in the past decades. Than in the past decades. Than in the past decades. You know, more nuclear wars. More nuclear weapons for potential nuclear war than in the past decades. They built about 150, they're estimated between 150 to 250. So their arsenal, as the reports, increased from about 450 to about 600. So anywhere between 20 to 40% increase. Estimations vary, but nonetheless, the point is that they built massively in the past 5 years. RCBM nuclear weapons, ICBM nuclear weapons, ICBM rockets, nuclear arms. And you wonder why they built in such a mass investing in building nuclear warheads. In building nuclear warheads. So that's what it is with that, and mass investing in building nuclear warheads. That's what it is with the XYZ. So always gotta watch for that. Across the street here, gotta get on that prudent side, you know. And I wonder, you know, even now I meditate on where was this built? You know, all our traffic lights. Something I always ask people were weird like that. Sometimes we focus on certain questions and details, which we kind of get our brains to go get it on the go. So it's something which we gotta be doing on the love, you know, on the love. There we go. Wow. Oh yeah. I always admire machines like this, and it takes brains and muscle, eh? Wow. It takes brains and muscle to build machines like that. Civilization is a privilege, eh? Think about it. That is in 2023, I presented my thesis to the world. The privilege of civilization. So the privilege of civilization, of course, that is everything that we have. I discussed it as my thesis, and of course is the privilege of civilization is my ongoing lectures on my thesis, which is called The Privilege of Civilization, where civilization is have electricity, running water. All these things are privileges, electronics and electrification, you know. All the things are of course the things to build civilization on. To build civilization on. All the things, the supply chains, the running water, the aqueducts, the sewers. And of course part of my ongoing geopolitical work, and again, I come back to me having predicted what's happening now back in 2019. Predicted what's happening now back in 2019. In 2019, October, November, you know. That's what I predicted, you know. Football. Football. I just had a little bit of analogy, you know, because I love football. I love dancing, is my favorite sport, you know. But this actually moves a bit. Needs a little bit of adjustment. It's a bit, sometimes all things do. I gotta fix my own home. Also, you know, there's so much work I have to do at home on myself as well, being especially an Aspie. Of course, Asperger's is very difficult, you know, it's a rare condition. It's just, I lost a lot of employment and jobs and opportunities, and there's a lot of misunderstanding about Asperger's, and unfortunately, there's a high unemployment. Unemployment about surrounding Aspies. So there's a high unemployment surrounding Asperger's because there's a lot of confusion and mislabeling as being a mental illness, which Asperger's is not. Asperger's is not a mental illness. Asperger's is not. It is a neurological mental divergent condition which makes us predisposed to obsessive interests, special interests, and those special interests preoccupies our daily habits, our daily habits and the routines which we have, which mine is fitness, geopolitics, fitness and sports, geopolitics, fitness and sports, and that's what it is. And that's dancing is my favorite sport and fitness activity, and that's 24/7, That's 24/7 with me. 24/7, So 24/7 is basically their special interests which super preoccupy our daily habits, routines, activities, habits, routines, but to the point that it's also called obsessive interest, but it is not really obsessive in the sense of a negative wording. The negative sense of the word obsession for Aspies is not applicable because it's a special interest, and we can be immersed for hours and hours and hours studying, learning, doing those activities or those things which are our special interests and routines, sometimes narrow. So even when I do marches, I meditate on geopolitics, so it's like a constant thing. It's constant. Me, it's geopolitics, and I am an independent geopolitical theoretical honest and theorist. I take a lot of pride in my geopolitical work. I take a lot of pride because although I didn't go to university, I have a high school diploma. I do have a high school diploma. I do have a high school diploma, although I don't remember high school. I just, you don't lose language abilities and mathematics, but some memories you lose. So the memory affected are different than, for example, learning mathematical skills, learning language and mathematics are not related to the memory. So you can have triggered amnesia without losing any skills, mathematical or linguistic skills. Anyway, so I do know that I have a high school diploma. Well, I have it at home. I wanted to go to the Integree college because I got some reviews and some letters of recommendation letters. But the neurodivergent part, I guess, maybe COVID caused memory loss, and I don't know if I did. I don't do drugs. I do not do drugs. Very rarely cannabis, but I don't do drugs. I stay fit. But maybe I did drugs when I was young, and maybe that's why I have blackouts of memory. Like really blackouts. My memory kind of blurs. It's like a blackout. Like I remember moving from a moldy place and moving from that moldy place, and I have problems remembering my life earlier to that period. But that period is like 11 years ago. So it's not like I lost memory from the past 3, 4, 5, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, which I remember a lot. My life prior to those, my life prior to that, there's blackouts. I'm not Anyways, I take lots of pride in my geopolitical work, and I have proof of work. I predicted what's happening now, I predicted what's happening now. Back in 2019, I predicted an international geopolitical conflagration of World War III, and even to the point that I created a workout training program system designed, created to go hand in hand with the World War III scenario, with a 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 World War III scenario. So my general integrated whole body training system is a simple, effective, efficient workout training program system which requires no equipment, which is easy to do, but easy to the point that I say it easy specification that he requires no equipment. So in terms that he requires no equipment, it is something which we gotta be doing with that and gotta be on that go, you know. So it's something which we gotta be doing for the love, you know, and something which we gotta be gonna discuss it after here. Gotta give some salutation to the firefighters. Somebody send some love, finance them, firefighters of North America, massage therapy sessions. They deserve it and they earn it, you know. Sending them some love, you know. So sending them some love with that, and that's what we gotta get doing. And here we are, you know. Where we are here, just gonna wait a bit. Across the street here in front of me. Sunshine. Got sunshiny a bit, eh? And now it's getting a little bit cloudy. Here we are downtown Montreal, and depends by how much. My rent also increased every year in the past 7, but not by much, because I would say fair rent increase to the cost of living. But some rent increase, if it's more than, you know, like 2%, it's like major liberation. But I guess we have to discern, you know, because if I am willing, you know, for the Collectif to have allocated social housing for the Dragon Army construct, public-private partnership, but we have to maintain it also. We have to maintain it, you know. So yeah, I see my room office in Temple is small, sometimes it's messy, but I left from a very moldy place, you know. Very moldy, super moldy, like, that's what I remember. And before that, like, there's blackouts of memory, so I can't really be sure. But sometimes memory comes back. Maybe COVID, I don't know, maybe drugs I don't do, and I don't do drugs. Very rarely cannabis, 'cause it's legal cannabis, by the way. But nonetheless, I don't do drugs. But maybe, I'm speculating, I used to do lots of drugs in the, like between, let's say, 2005 and 2013, let's say. Maybe I was a junkie. Maybe I was a junkie. I don't know, I got the memory loss. Rising with the fitness. Only do that legal cannabis. And this is great here. See, somebody left some food, and you can have some food, and that's good. That's really good. This is a really good idea. Because I believe in food security, eh? I believe in food security. I believe in food security, but it starts with the farmers, eh? And the food producers. They gotta send them some loving, eh? Somebody wash the feet of the truckers who transport the goods also, you know? Truckers and those in the warehouse workers. Ain't enough just blah, blah, blah. Eh? And slogans. Sometimes you gotta put on that action, you know? Slogans, you know? So that's all we're gonna get doing. And I see Charles there, the king is absent, but you know, that's what we gotta get doing with that. And so we gotta get on that loving, you know. So it's something which we gotta be loving side, and love is also action, because if we don't love, and you know, if you're black, white, a rainbow, we gotta get loving on that, you know. So that's why we gotta get loving. Anyways. So back to what I was saying, that food security starts, of course, with the farmers, eh? Food producers all involved in the production, distribution of food. Gotta think a little bit of that LOV for them as well, you know. They gotta get it on the go, and we gotta get it on the now, and that's how we gotta do, you know. As we go towards that mountain, meditating, singing some of that good rock and roll, always for the farmers and the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, and the doctors, all those involved in the production, distribution of food, all those involved in the production, distribution of food, production, distribution of food, production, distribution of food, production, distribution of food, you know, all that labor, you know. So I don't mind washing feet like that guy Rabbi Jesus did. I don't mind washing feet like that guy Jesus did. I don't mind washing feet like that guy Jesus did. I got me some of that loving. Oh yeah, I'm a mystic. I believe in reincarnations, but today is really all I got now, you know. What is today is the 28th of March, right? That's what it is. 28th of March, I march, celebrating COVID, victory over COVID, survived COVID. It was like death, pestilence, and disease. It was like death, pestilence, and disease. Death, pestilence, and disease. Death, pestilence. When I say that, I survived COVID, you know. COVID for me was like death, pestilence, and disease. And I thought I was going to die, you know. In many ways, I did die. In many ways, I did die. And I'm being reborn, you know. Rainbow dragon, nobody's born a dragon. You become one. That's the motto of the Dragon Army. That's the motto of the Dragon Army. Don't delay. Don't wait for tomorrow. Do it. Kisses, hug it, love it, fitness. For today, don't delay. Hug it, kiss it, don't delay. Don't delay. Hug it, kiss it for today. Don't delay, don't pray. Hug and dance and kiss and rub the sun goddess. That inspired me. That word, five letter, that delay. That delay, of course, inspired me a little song with that, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and so we gotta get doing with the LOV, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing with that, you know. So you gotta get on that love side of things, you know, my fellow family there, crossing on the go and crossing on the love, you know. So we gotta get doing, you know. So it's something which we gotta be on the transmission side of things, you know. So here we are. What's that? Oh, this is a French Canadian. We got great art and great rock and roll song here. Edouard, I gotta check it out, man. We got great local talent, not just Celine Dion. Hey, yo, gonna say Celine Dion, but yes, but Celine needs to give some charity. Celine needs to give some charity. Celine needs to give some charity to help build the Forgotten Goddess Temple. Forgotten Goddess Temple. GODD assists on the Canadian-US border. An oil artist to build the Goddess Temple and the Dragon People's Imperial Coliseum, where the Dragon versus Trump event is going to be the inauguration event. For that event, which we're going to drill it, and which we're going to, of course, cons it up, and which, of course, we're going to rock and roll with it. Be fighting Donald Trump and getting rid of those tariffs and implementing the DRT, the debt refusion theory. The DRT, the debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange unit. The UE, that's what we gotta get doing with that. The universal exchange unit, and of course create that currency, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know. Gotta get some of that love with it, and here we are. Survived COVID. Grateful, thankful, rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee, and been depressed, been suicidal, lived with so many scars, and always sending some love the other ways, you know. Truckers, the butchers, the daycare workers, changing some diapers now, you know, across the North American Collective. Changing some of those diapers. I always say that we got to implement a new protocol for security service and men and women in uniform to see whether you're fighting and defending as security. You got to go change some diapers in the daycares. Sometimes, you know, not on the daily, but or before you put a uniform, you got to do your one time. That's why I say to the Minister of National Defense, Bill Blair, you got to put on the defense, you know. Got to put on the defense side, you know. That's how we got to get doing, you know. Putting on that defense, you know. Pay the security service and defense and go change the diapers in the daycares. See, that's Latin. 5 words. It might be 6. Might be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can see 5. Fides, caritas, veritas. Libertas, spes. Spes, libertas, veritas, caritas, fides. Fides, caritas, veritas, libertas, spes. I know a little bit of Latin. I have memories from past life, so paradoxically maybe that way I lost retrograde amnesia, because to have a place for reincarnations, to have place for memories of reincarnations. Sometimes I was born a woman, priestess of the goddess from ancient Egypt, a farmer, an artist, a legion in the Roman legion. Not high ranking, but I served in the Roman legions. I served in the United States Armed Forces, 2 different wars, 156 years apart. And sometimes I was born a man, a woman, a woman, a man, a man, a woman. You get that 50-50 now. 50-50. Androgynous, pansexual, aspie, artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical, honest, and theorist, and mystic. Who's not perfect, far from it, but I got new rock and roll songs on the daily. You know, new rock and roll songs on the daily, and now we can cross the street there. I got 10 seconds, and you know what I love? I discussed it in past videos. I have a fetish, and the fetish is called cranes. Not referring to BDSM switch, because I'm part of the LGBTQ community, and I like sadomasochism, eh? I like BDSM switch. I'm a BDSM, I like switch. So sadomasochist. With consent, of course, consent. And if you come loving black, white men, black women, black men, white, whatever. If you want to come loving rainbow with rainbow dragon, you got to be 18 for that day. I'm going to card you just like when you go get beer, when you go get alcohol, when you go get cigarettes, when you go get legal cannabis, when you go to a club, you're going to get carded. You got to be, I guess, Quebec, Canada, Montreal, age of consent is 16, but it's 16. You got to be 18 plus, man. Yeah. Somebody loving, man. Yeah. I just saw a couple, makes me happy, you know. So that's what it is, man. Kind of loving on the go, man. Loving is good, you know. I see done that loving, man, you know. So somebody holding on, and gotta get that card, you know. Gotta get on that card with that. So hey, you gotta get some love, because it's not all about fighting, you know. You gotta have some loving, and that's what I gotta get doing with that. And I got a fetish for cranes, you know. Fetish for cranes. I got a fetish for cranes, you know. A crane fetish, because cranes enabled us to build, you know, civilization, you know. So now that I can wait a bit, I'm gonna assess the crane. And I just saw somebody hugging and kissing, and that gives me a little bit of hope, you know, hope, and that's why they're gonna go for that. And here we got the cranes, you know, which go up. And always meditating on the building of the cranes, you know, how they were built. Because with cranes, it enabled us to build skyscrapers. So I always I'm a fan of crane operators. I wrote a rock and roll song for the crane operators, crane operators. I wrote a few songs for the crane operators, but I just got a love and a fetish, you know, like I just love cranes, you know. That's what it is with that. Lion, lioness, red and white. Lion, lioness, red and white. Lion, lioness, red and white. I like that with the stars on it. It's kind of nice. That I approve of. That sticker is nice. Make some with the Dragon Army, pledge your allegiance, allegiance to our family, and it's time for me to discuss that DRT theory, the debt refusion theory. The debt refusion theory, now that I am on the topic of those cranes. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, is of course my theory, which I'm calling for its implementation. So as we're about to hit that Wall Street, it's a 9:30 a.m. It opens, the buying and selling monkey business there. Those illusions. Craft thank you workers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, grocery store clerks, farmers, construction workers. We got to get the North American Property Reclamation Act, the North American Property Reclamation Act, the North American Property Reclamation Act, the North American Property Reclamation Act. That's what we got to do, the North American Property Reclamation Act, and that's how we got to get doing with that, and that's how we got to get on that vision with that, and we got to get that North American Property Act, and of course we got to get it for the goals, and we got to get it for the now. So the North American Property Reclamation Act is for the public-private partnership ongoing the Pledge of Allegiance to the fellow citizens of North America. But us here, we're North, and my brothers and sisters, of course, are South, you know. So South, my brothers and sisters in the USA, and the North, you know. And the North on the go, that's what we got to get doing with that. And so in the North. So that's what we got to get doing on the go. And that's what we got to get doing on the now. So the North American Civilizational Act is, of course, the act to fuse in a democratic republic, parallel for North American centric, but similar to the EU, European Union, but furthermore for the North American Collective, to fuse for the North American Collective, to fuse for the North American Collective, you know. It could be enlarged, NATO centric, but fundamentally that's what we got to get doing. Fundamentally that's what we got to get doing. And I got to just to take a look at this one here. Can I take a few steps? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take a look at this one. See, we got some art here. 1978 cast, 1989, 1989. Cloaked figure, you know. So that's all we gotta get doing with that, you know. So so that's all we're gonna get doing with that, you know. That's what I gotta get doing with that, you know. So anyways, there's this. There we go. There's my second home. You can see, here we're already up, but it is going up and up and up and up the mountain, and you can see part of different buildings there, how it goes up, and that's the mountain peak, 3-peak mountain, and I kind of love this pink. So back to the DRT theory and to the North American Reclamation Act, that's where it go up. So basically, the DRT theory is my theory, of course, for the creation of the North American civilizational complex, and of course to implement it, because we have to implement it, of course, is something which we have to implement. This is kind of nice also. Needs a little bit of color though, some red, some green, and the DRT theory. So that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get doing on the go. So the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange unit, and that's how we gotta get going. Because now we paid last year 46.5 billion in interest. So 46.5 billion in interest, 46.5 billion in interest. 46.5 billion, a billion is 1,000 million. That's how much we paid. That's how much we paid, you know, and the public debt. So today, when now it's close by, maybe in a few minutes, the stock market are about to open, maybe starting today, if not Monday, coming days, weeks, and months ahead, you know, it's a possibility, of course, to get to the point in time where we say that we pay so much interest, and it's possibility now because of that we have a public financial collapse. What's called the black swan event, 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 black swan event. So that is the black swan event, which is on the horizon due to how much interest we pay. The interest payments has more than doubled from 20.3 billion. A billion is 1,000 million, and now it's 46.5 billion, 46.5 billion. 46.5 billion is 46,000 million. So 20.3 billion. 20.3 billion was the number in 2021 fiscal year. On the public debt, just the interest. So just and only the interest. That is the problem that is fundamentally at the heart of the whole situation. That it was just the interest paid. So not the principal, just the interest. Just the interest, you know? Just the interest. Just the interest on the public debt. Just the interest on the public debt, right? So 20.3 double is 40.6. So it has more than doubled. More than double, right? Because it's 46.5 billion. 46.5 billion. So the amount, of course, has more than doubled. And there's no way out of this but the DRT, debt refusion theory, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, for the creation of the universal exchange rate. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt, including my debt, and again, my DRT theory includes monetary integration theory, which is the financial theory, which was implemented in the European Union. So that's what it is with that. And of course, the European Union implemented the monetary integration theory, So implementation of the monetary integration theory. That's what it is. Implementation of the monetary integration theory was, of course, done in the European Union when they destroyed their national central banks, of course, and they created the ECB, the European Central Bank, and they put into circulation the euro. So basically, my DRT theory, my debt refusion theory, is going to be, of course, fundamentally the same. But, of course, not in the same parallel, but for the realities of where we are now with the financial situation of the North American Collective, because we paid 46.5 billion in interest. So that is billion is 1,000 zeros. That's what you have to retain. A billion is not 8 7 zeros. A billion is 1,000 million. It has 9 zeros a billion. So just think about that number, how much we paid in the fiscal year 2020-23 to 2024. So that number is 46,000 million. So 46.5 billion is 46,000 million in interest. So as much as you want to argue today, paradoxically, all the suffering, the struggle due to Asperger's, being that I have geopolitics as a special interest, there's no other way around this but my DRT theory, the debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE. So that's just where we are now, fundamentally. This, you can argue all you want, but this possibility of a black swan event. There's a black swan event on the horizon, and you know, that's on the horizon. There's a possibility of a black swan event, and that's what it is with that. And that's the possibility on the horizon, you know, to have a black swan event, which means which means that is a financial collapse possible. It's in the realm of possibility now. It's in the realm of possibility now, is because of how much interest we paid, you know. Just the interest paid is just so much, you know, that it's of course to get it on the go, and getting on the go for now, you know. So that's what it is, you know. Yeah, we got butchers, man. That's what you gotta go with that, to get it on the go and get it on the now, you know. So we keep on going, you know, but it's money regardless. The principle is that, of course, just where we are, the principle of the mathematical financial principle, the mathematical financial principle is that we paid 46.5 billion in interest. 46.5 billion in interest. 46.5 billion in interest, you know. That's how much we paid, you know. I gotta give a shout out for Hydro-Quebec, credit them a massage therapy session, and their hybrids. Gotta thank them. The workers of the past also, March included for them, eh? Workers who since 1947 have built, you know, all the collective, you know, so have built, of course. This civilization is a privilege, and our electricity here is clean, zero pollution, zero emission, you know. And I don't imagine all the electricity which we have now to do everything we do. Heating the coffee, taking a shower, watching TV, doing art, doing work, resting, entertainment. So work, entertainment, leisure, pleasure, business and pleasure, all that. Hydro-Quebec, rock and roll, and implementing my DRT theory, we're going to be able to build more hydroelectric dams. More hydroelectric dams. There's no way out of this. So there's no way out of this. Out of the situation. There's no way. You can argue all you want. The principle, the mathematical financial principle applies same to the public as in the private. So imagine a private citizen. Myself, I don't have credit cards. But if I do have credit cards, if I would, I don't have a credit line of $10,000 I am in debt, and $10,000 I am in debt, $10,000 I am in debt, $10,000 I am in debt, you know. So being that I'm $10,000 I am in debt, and that's all we are, you know. So being that I'm $10,000 in debt, I pay 10.44 interest, 10.44 interest. 10%, 10.44 interest, 10.44 interest, 10.44% interest. So the same mathematical principle applies with the public and the private. But the fact is that if an individual citizen's interest payments double. If the interest payments double, right? If the interest payments double, that means that an individual citizen would have to reduce and cut the spending because the salaries have not doubled. Majority of salaries have stagnated. Or there's been some labor movement, but the average increase has been 4.4% in the past 5 years. Has been 4.4% in the past 5 years. Has been 4.4%. 4.4% increase only, so it's not a lot, not a lot. 4.4%, imagine, in the past 5 years. Well, the cost of living has increased by approximately 44.9%, including rents in the past since 2020 February, since COVID, and the food. So that's where the problem lies. So we're gonna have to take all the public and the private debt. This is my DRT explained, which includes monetary integration theory. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt. All the public and the private debt. We're gonna take all the public and the private debt. All the public and the private debt. All the public and the private debt. So all the public and the private debt, we're gonna take it, and we're gonna take it on the go, you know. So we're gonna take it on the go, you know. So all the public and the private debt, we're gonna take it on the go. So all the public and the private debt, I'm going to cross the other side. All the public and the private debt, we're going to take it, we're going to refuse it, you know. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt, my debt including $10,000, we're going to convert it to the US dollars, add it with the US, and that money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. That money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank, of which of course we're going to create a new currency called the UE, U.Universal, E.Exchange, U.Unit, and with that money we're going to rebuild the infrastructure, mass finance citizens fitness, mass finance citizens to work out, mass financing the building of those 44 tunnels, mass finance citizens fitness, mass finance 44 tunnels, mass finance, a lot of mass financing of different projects for the North American Collective. And I really gotta go to the washroom. Oh, there's a line up there. Oh, I know I'm gonna go where I did some business in the arts world in the past. Here I'm gonna go to the washroom. I hope it's open. Anyway, so we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, and we're gonna take all the public and the private debt. Because there's no way around it. So we're gonna take all the PPP, all the public-private debt. Canada and United States join simultaneously. We're going to convert the Canadian public-private debt to US dollar. That money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. And we're going to create the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, We're going to set an interest rate level of 10% max. It could be less, but not more than 10%. Hey, who's that in the mirror? I got to see it to believe it. Got to see it, rock and roll. So to God, I got to go. Gotta get, so the debt refusion theory is the only solution. They call the public and the private debt. Gotta see if it's open, maybe. Pull. Oh, there's nobody there. I'm not sure. Maybe if I ring, because it's supposed to be, what time is it? I'm not sure if it's open yet. Maybe. Or maybe there's nobody. Guess I'm gonna have to go to McGill then. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, it's not open. Is it that early? What time is it? I don't even know. I don't even know what time it is. Maybe there's nobody. I'm gonna have to go to McGill. Gonna have to go to McGill. Anyways, the debt refusion theory, we're gonna take all the debt, the public and the private debt, all that money is gonna be the initial money supply for a new central bank. I really gotta go to the washroom, so that's why I came to the building here, Titan building, and I used to do some work in the past and some educational as being an artist myself. I did a lot of it, some helpful information, but with Asperger's it's more difficult to navigate a lot of the social. We're not that able in the social proceedings and the social aspects, personal space, personal distance, when to speak, when not to speak. All those things can be more difficult for Aspie. So that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get doing on that go, and that's how I gotta get doing on the LOV side, So that's how I gotta get doing on the love, I gotta cross on that side. So all the debt refusion theory. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt. We're gonna convert it into US dollars. So all the public and the private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. That money is gonna be the initial money supply for a new central bank, which we're gonna call the North American Central Bank. We're gonna create the UE, and that's what we're gonna be doing with XYZ and XYZ, and that's what we're gonna be doing with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing on that love side of things, and sometimes we just gotta get it on the love, and that's what we gotta get doing for that. The debt refusion theory. Oh, I got 10 seconds, man. 10 seconds. 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 4. Guess I got enough time to cross the streets, So they call it. Gonna take all the public and the private debt. 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 My debt included. I got $10,000. Yeah, rainbow rock and roll. I love that rainbow flag, seeing it, you know. Rainbow dragon, man. Gotta play it up. I'm a centrist, though. Democratic Republican. Republican Democrats. Pro-labor and love revolutionary centrist. But my centrism is just tied hand in hand with my trinity of theories, of which the DRT, debt refugee, which I just discussed. We're going to take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt. We're going to convert all the public private debt into US dollars. Into US dollars. Gotta wash my hands also. You're welcome. You're welcome. Where's the washroom? So the point is that the debt levels is not just the debt, but the interest paid on the public debt. You know, the interest paid on the public debt has skyrocketed. Where's the washrooms? I gotta go to the washroom. So the point is that the interest has jumped from, it has more than doubled. Yes, due to COVID. COVID made us such a difficult position where we are with the public finances, but nonetheless, the point is that the mathematics behind it, the mathematical equation just makes it that it's not sustainable to further increase, further increase. Oh, there we go. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. All right, so there we go. Oh, no, it can go by there. It's locked, actually. So as I was saying, the mathematical financial principles behind it is that just the interest payments have increased. So consequently, the mathematical financial, the principles, just forget the whole complexity, just the principle is that it's more than double, right? Just more than double is not sustainable because as an individual citizen, of course, whose interest payments double, thanks, whose individual payments double, whose individuals payments double, whose individuals payments double. So if an individual's interest payments double, right? Let's say he's got the credit cards, and that's what they gotta be doing with that. That's what they gotta be doing with that. That's what they gotta be doing with that, and that's what they gotta get. They're gonna have to go bankrupt or find another job or get a substitution, you know, get the income, because otherwise one has to cut in the budget, you know. Because the point is that we have the interest payments have doubled, you know. The interest payments have doubled. Interest payments have doubled. Just the interest on the public debt. That's the interest. It's from 20.3 billion in 2021. That's what it is with that, you know. That's what it is for the go. So the point is that it's double, more than double actually. So there's the GDP obviously did not double. The GDP of Canada obviously did not double. If the GDP would have doubled, if the GDP would have doubled, if the GDP would have gone, you know, the GDP would if the GDP would have gone, if the GDP would have also doubled, just like consequently if somebody's salary doubles but the salary average has increased by 4.4% only, the mathematical principles behind it, eh? So that's just how it applies in this context, is that the interest payments have doubled, just the interest, while the salaries have not. The salary and the consequence for the public debt, that of course, the public debt is something which I like, you know, so that's something which I like. And consequently, it doubled. It doubled. Consequently, double the interest payments, you know, just the interest payments. So the mathematical financial principles apply in this context. It's just the principle. So the interest is not sustainable for it to increase, so we're gonna have to cut. In the public debt, we're gonna have to cut, reduce the spending, cut, reduce the spending, cut, reduce the spending. So what are we gonna cut and reduce the spending? What are we gonna cut? The police, the RCMP, the prisons, the public sanitation systems, we're gonna have to reduce something. Something is gonna have to be reduced, you know? There's just no other way, because the GDP has not doubled, so there's no way but the debt refusion theory, the DRT, the debt refusion theory, you know? So that's what it is with that, and the debt refusion theory, you know? So it's something which I gotta be meditating upon, the debt refusion theory. And we have to implement it, because it's the only solution, or something very, very similar to my debt refusion theory. Something similar to my debt refusion theory, to my DRT. There's no other way. You can argue all you want, but that's it. We're going to have to cut. Whether we're going to wake up to a public financial collapse of Canada, because it's not sustainable. Yes, COVID caused it, but the majority, not of course the main majority of COVID, but the majority of COVID with it, and that is what it is with that. Majority of COVID with it, the majority of COVID with that. So that's what we gotta get it on the doing with that. And the fact is that the majority of COVID is it. The majority of COVID is it. Huh. I know.
Oh, I gotta rip off. I'm over.
So it is with that. Love is good. Love is good. I like hearing that word, love. Love is good. Gotta rush to class. I'm gonna go to my class, the mountain too. Get good studies, man. Get that graduation. Gonna sing some rock and roll for the graduates, you know? But back to the DRT, because I graduated for the University of Life. I'm a people's doctor. With Aspies, you know, it's more difficult than life for Aspies, generally, but me, it's just financial now. You know, I've been presenting the blessing of my theory, the debt refusion theory, which has to be implemented. The DRT theory has to be implemented, and of course it comes out of curse of Asperger's. Gotta now turn into a blessing. I gotta check out this company. Check out the company, because in my public-private partnership, Dragonomy, of course, the telecommunications have to be all secured for service and security, and for the Dragonomy, you know. So that's what I gotta get doing on the XYZ. Hard. So all the public-private debt, we're gonna take it, convert it to US dollars, Canada, including my $10,000. That money, the US, is gonna be the initial money supply for a new central bank, the initial money supply for a new central bank. That's welders, rock and roll. Welders are really rock and roll, man. I love welders, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors. And by implementing the DRT, you know. So. By implementing the DRT, by implementing the DRT, we're gonna be able to do a lot of good for the public. Public roads building 44 tunnels, and the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, the consequentially, the operation, which we're gonna be, I gotta go on the side. I'm gonna go on the other side like that. Gotta get it for the welders, for the plumbers, gotta get it for that rock and roll, and so we gotta get doing on that, you know. Here is gonna be construction workers who are gonna build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, you know. North American People's Imperial Coliseum, and that's what it is with that, to get it on the go, you know. So something which we gotta be doing, you know. And all the life, man, construction workers gotta get some of that love for that. Construction workers, you know, gotta give them a little bit of credit, and let's build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. North American People's Imperial Coliseum. And then we gotta get it on that cranes, man. National crane, love cranes, got a crane fetish. Just love crane, and crane operators get that special rock and roll. So the DRTT, we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt. We're gonna convert it into US dollars. To US dollars. Oh, we're gonna go slide by the side, you know. Gonna create it in the US dollars. In the US dollars, in the US dollars. In the US dollars, you know. So we're gonna do that conversion. Conversion. That's what we gotta get doing with that. So we gotta get doing, you know, so we're gonna get doing with that, eh? So all the public and the private debt, converted into US dollars. It's a big flag. It will be the initial money supply for this new institution, the new central bank, to issue the UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange unit, we're going to set an interest rate level of 10%. With that money, we're going to be rebuilding the infrastructure of the North American Collective, build more hydroelectric dams, mass finance citizens fitness, building those 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war, mass finance tourism activity, and of course all the tourist activity. And those are the 5 protocols. Implement other things such as building new bridges in the North American Infrastructure Collective, and rebuild the North American inner cities, aka the ghettos. AKA the ghettos of the North American Collective. That's all we gotta do, brothers and sisters. There's a must. The DRT, Debt Refusion Treaty, for the creation of the Universal Exchange Unit is the only way forward as we are now. So, oh, I found an apple earlier. What am I finding now? See, food security, man. No food waste. Imagine World War III, food security is getting pricey, financially stressed, but got food at home, not starving, and I got a budget of, I think I got $20, got to double check, but, and to last me until next week. So it's only the weekend basically, so I'm not going to spend because I got potatoes at home, so I'm going to peel, chop, you know, so do a little bit of that rainbow dragon cooking on the budget, always good, and always getting for the farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, construction workers, the plumbers and the electricians. Up the mountain on the go we go. For those on the roads, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know, and that's what we gotta keep on moving with the left and the right, you know. Here we gotta get on that slippery side, and we gotta go move up, go to the mountain, and do some of those sun salutations with it, and that's what we gotta get doing, you know, and getting for the love, and getting for the now, and getting for the left and for the right, and sometimes right in the middle, you know. That's where the dream meets. The Democratic Republican, my pro-labor love, universal, revolutionary centrism is North American centric, because I am fundamentally a Quebecer, Canadian, North American philosopher, artist, athlete, geopolitical, theoretical, honest, and theorist again, who has predicted what's happening now. Back in 2019, before I had COVID, watching this, survive COVID. That's what I gotta go doing with that. So, having that I survived COVID, gotta get that protocol, and gotta get that loving and pledge your allegiance. Here we are on the side of things, and that's that crow saluting that DRT theory. Love you, crows. I love crows, although hawks, H-A-W-K, hawks are my totem bird, and that's about the fling with that for that English. Now we're gonna switch to that Belle Province, and we're entering the mountain by a different side today. By a different side, because there's so many sides, you know. So each time is passed, we enter the different size. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now that's 6 size. So now we're gonna switch it on that French now. Bienvenue à la marche, votre dragon arc-en-ciel de Montréal. Je vous salue, je vous invite à faire de l'entraînement physique québécois et québécoise. Et bien sûr, prêtez allégeance Légion, vous êtes famille, beau soleil, mais il fait fret. Aujourd'hui, vous les camionneurs, les travailleurs en construction, puis ma tante. Tante qui court le matin, le bonjour. Vous savez que votre dragon arc-en-ciel chante du rock'n'roll 24/24, puis c'est la géopolitique à 24/24, puis c'est l'entraînement physique à 24/24, puis c'est ma deuxième montagne, la Mont-Royal. Puis je dois être de retour chez nous avant 3h, couple de minutes avant 3h maximum, peut-être à 2h, en début 3, puis bien sûr quelque chose, so it's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta get going, so c'est quelque chose que je dois quand même faire une visite, puis quotidien chez ma deuxième maison de Mont-Royal. C'est pas juste la mienne, c'est la mienne, la vôtre, la tienne. Aujourd'hui, je célèbre encore une fois, je marque la victoire depuis que j'ai survécu la COVID entre le 7 février 2020 et le 29 mars 2020. J'ai survécu la COVID. Fait que j'ai survécu la COVID. J'étais vraiment malade. Hein? C'était comme la maladie, la pestilence puis la mort. Mais quand je dis ça, ben c'était comme la maladie, la pestilence puis la mort. Mais ça fait une sensation dans le sens que j'ai tombé vraiment malade. Je pensais vraiment que c'était mon dernier chapitre. Je pensais vraiment à la petite date. Pour moi, je suis en train de mourir. Puis bien sûr, j'ai survécu. Fait qu'aujourd'hui, je veux dire, je célèbre la victoire. Je suis financièrement stressé, je vis un stress financier en ce moment économiquement, en termes des finances. Je vis un stress financier, donc ce stress financier, ben, ça fait que ça m'encombre un peu le plaisir, mais pas tout à fait dans le sens négatif, parce que je me fais du bon plaisir sur un budget aussi de temps en temps, puis je suis toujours de bonne humeur, joyeux, jovial quand je me pointe à la montagne. Quand je me pointe à la montagne, quand je m'en viens ici à la montagne, sur le Mont-Royal, c'est toujours une conflagration que je fais bien sûr dans ce domaine, bien sûr, de venir dans l'espace libre, de faire de la méditation en la géopolitique. La géopolitique, c'est mon intérêt obsessif, puis bien sûr, c'est quelque chose que je fais au quotidien. Je fais au quotidien dans ce thème de la géopolitique pour en faire, bien sûr, dans ce terme de constance, puis de répétition, puis de rituel, de routine que les gens neurodivergents comme moi, les Aspergers qu'on vit avec, que je vis avec cette condition de neurodivergence, qui fait que j'ai une routine. Quand même, ça se tourne autour de mes intérêts spéciaux qu'on appelle aussi intérêts obsessifs, mais intérêt obsessif, pour le dire, c'est plutôt dans le sens négatif. C'est pour ça que j'utilise pas le terme obsessif, parce que c'est pas une obsession en tant que telle, c'est un intérêt spécial. Fait que cet intérêt, ça fait que j'ai mes préoccupations. Préoccupation. Tu sais, ces préoccupations de la... Ces préoccupations hors le principe du social, là, parce que dans les termes... Excusez-moi. Est-ce que vous êtes des touristes?
Ah oui.
Est-ce que vous êtes allé au belvédère du Mont-Royal? Ah, oui. Vous avez vu la ville en haut?
Oui.
OK.
Et du coup, là, le parc, le centre vraiment du parc, c'est ici?
Oui, c'est pas mal ici, mais c'est pour ça que je voulais vous envoyer sur le belvédère.
Merci, c'est gentil.
Vous êtes allé avec la 11?
La 11, oui.
En haut, le chalet belvédère?
Ouais.
OK.
Merci beaucoup.
Ça fait plaisir. Ben, c'est ma place préférée, puis j'envoie toujours les gens. C'est quelque chose, il faut que vous voyez, hein, parce que...
Oui, on est monté, c'est la première chose qu'on a
C'est
faite.
vraiment beau. OK, Michel, bienvenue dans Belle Province à Montréal. Puis, une autre demande, s'il vous plaît. Juste manger de la nourriture, du vin du Québec.
Oui, on a goûté du vin du Québec hier.
Juste du Québec. Je veux que ça soit tout avec la fleur de lys. Merci. C'est ça que je demande aux touristes.
Nous, on est venus voir la belle province, donc on mange que
venus voir nos cousins.
S'il vous plaît.
Voilà.
Du fromage du Québec, du vin du Québec, des saucisses du Québec, du pain du Québec. Merci. Bon, la poutine, il faut que, si vous allez dans les marchés, vous allez voir, tu sais, la fleur de lys?
Oui.
Vous allez voir la fleur de lys sur les produits, il faut vous acheter juste de ça. OK. Parce que moi, si je m'en vais dans un autre pays, je veux juste manger local. Pas de Budweiser. Pas de Budweiser. Québécois. Salut. Je sais qu'ils sont en train de rire un peu, mais je les renvoie pour qu'ils achètent des produits locaux, tu sais, parce que c'est local, tu sais, pour qu'ils achètent. C'est un peu bizarre, là, mais je sais pas, je suis autiste, fait qu'ils m'ont souri, puis ils m'ont fait un beau sourire tantôt quand j'ai passé, puis j'ai dit excusez-moi, je me suis tenu de bas, j'ai dit excuse-moi, puis j'ai pas dit de leur manger la fleur de lys, ça, par exemple. Mais dans la comédie, moi, c'est quelque chose que je leur encourage à faire. Tous les touristes, là, vous voyez sur mes vidéos, mais parce que c'est pour encourager l'économie locale, parce que moi aussi, je m'en vais à quelque part, d'autre, manger les produits qui se produisent là-bas. Puis quand ils viennent ici, ben, j'encourage les gens à essayer de nos produits. Pour voir le produit, parce qu'on sait jamais, tu sais. Si c'est les produits, peut-être il y a de l'import, l'export qui se fait, puis il y a la bombe, puis on a de tout, hein. On a même du vin, des saucisses, du fromage, des cerises, du blé, de tout. On a de toutes les manières pour en faire de toutes sortes de bonnes choses dans ma province du Québec. Fait que là, bien sûr, je célèbre ma célébration, la victoire que j'ai eue sur la COVID en 2019. Tu sais, en 2019, c'est ça que j'ai eu, là. COVID, je pensais que j'allais mourir. Moi, je sais pas pour le vote, mais je disais tantôt en anglais, le roi est absent. Tu sais, le roi est absent. Fait que c'est le temps pour la République. Ça a fait un peu... J'ai pas aimé ça. Prête allégeance au roi de l'Angleterre, là, notre premier ministre, Carney. Rien de personnel avec M. Carney, mais c'est le temps de finir avec ça au XXe siècle. C'est le temps de finir avec ça au XXe siècle. C'est le temps de finir avec ça au XXe siècle, tu sais. C'est le temps d'en finir, tu sais. C'est le temps d'en finir avec ça, tu sais. Au XXe siècle, c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut qu'on fasse dans le quotidien pour en faire. Puis bien sûr, pour en faire des choses. Comme moi, je viens de faire l'encouragement pour l'économie locale, tu sais. Parce qu'on est un collectif émergent, puis on a besoin, bien sûr, de l'encouragement. Puis la danse, c'est mon sport préféré. Quand je vois du monde danser, ça me fait toujours de la bonne humeur. Et en rentrant ici par le côté, par le bar, ça fait toujours que je vais aller jusqu'en haut. Fait que la danse que j'adore faire, tu sais, c'est quelque chose pour en faire ici. Comme je disais tantôt, ben, c'est le temps pour que l'économie mondiale, ben, ça soit dans le sens de où qu'on est rendu avec les géopolitiques, ben, c'est quand même, ça se démondialise un peu, quand même. Doit être un pays de liberté. Toute liberté doit être protégée par la loi. Ouais, mais la liberté, c'est nouveau, hein? C'est nouveau, puis c'est dur quand même, hein? La responsabilité est quand même grosse, hein, pour vivre avec la liberté, puis je sais pas, c'est le temps pour la République, c'est le temps, là, Rochelle, puis c'est pas Rochelle qui va défendre. Moi, sur une invasion, je serais tout de suite courir, mettre un uniforme, puis servir dans l'armée, mais seulement pour la défense. Seulement pour la défense. On est un nouveau, hein, collectif. Puis tous ceux qui viennent nous rejoindre absolument au Québec, ou dans le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Tu sais? Dans le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord, tu sais. Puis c'est une bonne place pour en faire, tu sais. De ramasser, puis c'est le temps qu'on en nettoie, tu sais. Puis pour en faire, puis c'est des choses, bien sûr, qu'il faut le dire moi-même. Ben, j'ai pas bien apprécié ça, puis j'aime pas ça, notre premier ministre. Il prête d'allégeance, serment, la sermentation de notre premier ministre. Il a prêté allégeance et serment au roi Charles, au roi de l'Angleterre, là, ou de l'Angleterre. C'est quoi cette affaire-là? C'est le temps qu'on en finisse avec ça au 21e siècle. C'est le temps pour la République. Quand je vais voter pour qu'il y ait un autre premier ministre, puis qu'il va voter encore pour le roi, mais c'est fini ça. Oubliez ça. C'est un instant. C'est le temps pour la République, tu sais. C'est le temps pour la République, c'est le temps pour la République. Vous voyez, ici, il y a des travaux de plantation. Ouais, freedom, liberté, mais freedom, je l'ai tatoué sur mon bras, comme j'ai Canada sur un autre, mais c'est nouveau, hein, sur la liberté, le roi Solomon, puis on était des individus dans un collectif de société, puis en tant qu'individu moi-même, j'ai des normes, des choses, la norme de la société les normes de la société qui ne sont pas quand même, puis je fais partie de cette communauté de neurodivergents. Je fais partie d'une minorité, hein. Moins de 1%, moins de la moitié de 1%, moins de 0,44% ont l'Asperger's. C'est moins que 1%, tu sais, pour une affaire, mais que 1%, tu sais. Moi, c'est... Et bien sûr, c'est des choses que... Puis en tant que neurodivergent, c'est vraiment bien sûr que moi je vais faire avec ça, puis viens faire avec ça, puis c'est des choses que je dois le faire moi-même, tu sais. Fait que pour en faire des choses comme ça, c'est des choses qu'il va avoir pour faire. Des conséquences que moi-même je dois faire un travail constamment sur le fait que je fais partie d'une minorité, hein, de ces 0,44% des citoyens qui ont l'Asperger's. Une petite minorité, hein. C'est la majorité des gens, c'est 99,56%. Moi-même, je fais partie de cette petite minorité de citoyens qui vivent avec l'Asperger's ou l'autisme hautement fonctionnel. Fait que moi, nous, les aspirants, je suis un individu faisant partie de cette petite minorité. Moi-même, en vivant avec l'Asperger's, moi-même, en tant qu'individu, mais généralement des caractéristiques, parce que c'est pas des symptômes, parce que c'est pas une maladie, l'Asperger's. C'est des symptômes, c'est pas des symptômes, c'est des caractéristiques. C'est des caractéristiques. Fait que cette neurodivergence, ça fait que on a de la misère, c'est difficile d'appliquer, puis de comprendre, puis d'intégrer certaines manières d'être dans la société. Par exemple, l'espace public. Laissez pas ça dans la forêt, s'il vous plaît. Mettez ça dans le recyclage. Ça me dérange pas où vous vivez, mais on essaie de préserver la nature ici. Hein. Ça fait des années, je fais du bénévolat, là, puis faut que je me frustre. Quand je vois des choses comme ça, comme... ça me dérange pas que vous buvez, mais buvez le plus local possible ces temps-ci, s'il vous plaît, aussi. Parallèlement, comme je disais, mais ça fait que je dois toujours travailler. Je dois toujours faire un travail. J'ai trouvé ça. Petit bonbon. Merci, thank you. Et c'est bon ça. Mais ça, il faut que... Parce qu'il faut pas que ça soit avalé par... Faut pas que ça soit avalé par quelque chose, là, tu sais. C'est avalé par quelque chose. Si c'est avalé par un lapin ou un écureuil, ben, c'est pas bon. Pas bon. Fait qu'il faut qu'on fasse du recyclage parce qu'on essaie de préserver ici. Il y a la plantation qu'il faut qu'on fasse en tant qu'individu. Puis le collectif, ça prend de l'action individuelle aussi. Fait que pour en faire, tu sais. Fait que c'est des choses qu'il faut que je fasse moi-même dans ce domaine, tu sais, de l'apprentissage. Fait que bien sûr, c'est des choses qu'il faut que je dois le faire vous-même, tu sais, dans cette affaire de caractéristiques pour enfants, tu sais. Mais oui. En tout cas, fait que...
Go ahead.
Merci, thank you. Are you guys visiting?
Yeah.
Did you go to the Belvedere?
That's what we're hoping to go to.
So Belvedere, at the top of the chalet?
Yeah.
You went? You went?
No. We're hoping
So you
to get
guys
to it.
really have to get there. But I do not
I think we need ice cream.
I do not recommend this, okay? If you keep on going there, you're gonna see on the right side there's stairs built. Public workers. Public worker built.
Okay.
The citizens build it. So you get stairs and you can go upstairs. By the stairs it's safer. Because this is my second home. I kinda know the whole mountain.
Right.
I come here every week. It's my like second home, but I don't recommend it. Because it's slippery,
icy.
and there's, if you do guys venture out for the main road, if you tend to have an exploration and adventurous side, please beware because the falling branches can fall from the trees because they're not too healthy. So always be on the lookout. See those branches? They fall. If you stay on the main road, you're safer. So keep going. Where are you guys from? Vermont, all the way to Quebec. Can I please ask you guys just to eat local food?
Yeah.
Local Quebec, local cheese, local sausage, local drinks. Because if I go to Vermont, it's only going to be made in Vermont or the USA.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Thank
and
you.
keep on going the stairs at the top and you're going to see Vermont from the top.
Oh, thank you.
And please learn some French. Ah, ok, toi, tu viens de Sherbrooke, toi. Ok, salut. Eh ben, tu sais, fait que c'est des choses comme ça, mais il faut que je vis avec. Ils viennent de, ici sur le côté, je leur ai dit que c'est mieux qu'ils n'aillent pas sur le bord ici parce que ça glisse. Fait que je dois leur faire un bon péto pour qu'ils aillent jusqu'en haut, tu sais, pour les faire mal, pour qu'ils se fassent mal dans un ensemble de prudence, vous voyez, parce qu'ici, là, ça glisse. Fait que si vous connaissez pas, bien sûr, un peu de cette point de convergence, là, pour en faire, là, ici, il faut bien sûr faire cette convergence, puis j'aime ça, bien sûr. Les touristes, je leur avise hein, qu'il faut que ça soit différent dans l'histoire, bien sûr, que ça soit de faire un partage avec les citoyens et citoyennes, les touristes qui viennent, mais parce que moi, je connais la montagne, hein, c'est comme chez nous, tu sais. C'est comme chez nous, fait que je le dis toujours, mais c'est ça. Vous voyez encore une fois, je parlais de l'Asperger, ce que je vis avec. Qu'est-ce que j'ai remarqué? J'ai dû ne pas m'approcher trop proche. Encore une fois, j'allais prendre un autre pas. J'allais tellement proche des autres, d'un point de l'inconfort, qui deviennent intimidés ou inconfort. Fait que les Asperger, nous, ces choses de communication sont plus difficiles, puis des fois, on peut communiquer d'une manière vraiment étrange, vraiment weird, étrange, bizarre. Parce que nous, les interactions sociales sont difficiles. Parce que nous, des fois on est direct, des fois on est direct. Et bien sûr, en étant direct, c'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on aille dans la... On peut offenser les gens, mais c'est pas par volonté méchanceté, par volonté méchanceté, c'est juste que il faut nous le dire directement, nous. Il faut nous le dire. Il faut nous le dire directement. Tu sais? Il faut nous le dire directement. C'est des choses avec lesquelles je vis. C'est des choses avec lesquelles je vis moi-même. Fait que c'est toujours dans cette concordance, moi-même en tant que minorité, que je dois travailler. Maintenant, j'ai pris conscience, mais ça prend un effort constamment, là, que je le fasse. Des fois, c'est difficile, comme j'allais prendre un autre pas et m'approcher à 2 pouces de leur visage, de leur corps. Trop proche. L'espace personnel. Tu sais, ces choses-là, c'est... Notre cerveau, il est fait différemment. Fait que notre cerveau, il est différent. Fait que nous, ces choses d'espace personnel, des choses comme ça, ça va être plus difficile à intégrer avec l'application. Fait que je dois toujours bâtir des ponts avec les neurotypiques. Fait que toujours, bien sûr, je dois y travailler dans ces choses-là. Je dois faire ce travail constamment. Puis j'aime ça venir ici, puis j'aime ça diriger les touristes, mais en tant que bon samaritain, bon citoyen, ben je leur dis que des fois les branches tombent, parce que des fois j'étasse moi-même du chemin, hein, parce que des fois ils tombent, puis ils tombent, ça tombe, là. Ça vient de tomber sur le bord, ça tombe sur vous, mais j'ai sur ma caméra, là, une couple de semaines, quand il était l'hiver, le printemps, puis plusieurs fois sur plusieurs vidéos, hein, ça tombe, hein. Je l'ai filmé en plus, ben c'est pas tombé sur moi, mais c'est tombé sur le côté. Je pense que la caméra a captivé, c'était comme... Je me dis, ben ça tombe sur quelqu'un, ça. C'est, tu sais, c'est... Il faut l'indiquer quelque part, mais on n'a pas d'indication que... C'est pour ça que c'est plus sécuritaire sur le chemin principal. Bon, en étant dire que je dois faire un effort constamment. Je vis avec l'Asperger, ça m'empêche pas de vivre, ça m'empêche pas de vivre, ça m'empêche pas de vivre. Tu sais, c'est des choses que je dois faire moi-même. C'est dans cet ensemble de la société. Cet ensemble de la société. C'est quelque chose que je vis avec. Je vis avec. Puis maintenant, je dois être prudent moi-même, vous voyez, parce que là, il y a un danger plus intense. Puis on peut être intense. On peut être super concentré, mais le problème, c'est que beaucoup de gens voient l'Asperger, l'autisme monofonctionnel, comme une maladie mentale. Comme une maladie mentale. C'est pas une maladie mentale. Hop. C'est pas une maladie mentale. Ah. C'est pas une maladie mentale. C'est une condition de neurodivergence. Mais malheureusement, il y a ce stigme encore. Ben, il y a beaucoup de travail qui s'est fait dernièrement, mais dernièrement, ça a pris bien longtemps. Des années, des décennies, depuis les années 90, 2010 et ces dernières années, là. Mais c'est... Vous voyez ici, là, ça je les ai envoyés par là parce que là ça glisse, fait que ça c'est tout un patinoire là. Fait que j'ai pas de crampons, fait que c'est difficile. Fait que la théorie de la refusion de la dette, je la discute maintenant. Sur l'autisme monofonctionnel, l'Asperger, je vis avec, quand je vis avec mes cicatrices, puis comme je vis avec le stress financier. Par contre, tout ça part en 2019. J'ai conclu que l'être humain et l'humanité se dirigent vers une conflagration internationale. Vers une conflagration internationale. Fait que pour en faire, que j'ai des intérêts spéciaux, puis la géopolitique, c'est mon intérêt spécial. C'est connu comme intérêt obsessif, mais c'est pas des obsessions dans le sens négatif, c'est les Asperger, il faut qu'ils soient encouragés puis avoir du support dans les intérêts qui sont intenses, super concentrés, super dedans. Comme moi, c'est l'entraînement physique, le sport, depuis que j'ai traversé le Canada en 2017. Ça fait plus que 7 ans que je suis embarqué en faire l'entraînement physique, où j'ai perdu entre 80 et 93 livres. Puis quand j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte, mais ça m'a fait sortir de ma dépression. J'étais suicidaire, j'étais en dépression, 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 puis j'ai sorti de ma dépression. Dans traverser le Canada, j'ai établi un esprit de corps solide. J'ai établi un esprit de corps solide avec le Canada. J'ai établi un esprit de corps solide avec le Canada, le Québec. Vous êtes ma famille, tu sais. Des fois, on est dans le dysfonctionnel un peu, puis c'est des temps difficiles, mais j'avais prévu maintenant qu'est-ce qui se passe en 2019. En 2019, j'ai prévu qu'il y aura une conflagration internationale, et puis c'est ça qui arrive. de manière générale. Fait que mes protocoles d'initiative sont pour le collectif de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord, parce que je suis québécois, canadien, nord-américain. Personnellement, je ne me considère pas en étant un membre d'une diaspora, mais je me considère pas en étant un membre d'une diaspora. Mais c'est chez nous ici, dans cette vie puis dans une autre. Je suis mystique, je crois à la réincarnation, mais moi j'étais né homme, j'étais né femme, j'étais né homme des fois d'autres vies antérieures, j'étais femme, homme. Maintenant, 50-50. Le fleuve feu, fleuve l'eau, fleuve l'eau, fleuve feu, le fleuve de l'eau, fleuve le fou, le feu. Adrien, Anan, prêtresse, dragon arc-en-ciel. Dragon arc-en-ciel, j'ai officiellement changé mon nom, mais bon. Bon, en cause de l'Asperger's, aussi ce mouvement fonctionnel, j'ai ses intérêts. Ma Sainte Trinité, l'entraînement physique. L'entraînement physique que je préfère, c'est la danse. Puis bien sûr, l'entraînement physique que je préfère, c'est la danse. Et bien sûr, l'entraînement physique que je préfère, c'est la danse. Et bien sûr, le rock'n'roll. Le rock'n'roll, je vais vous en venir avec du rock'n'roll. Puis la géopolitique. Fait que c'est des choses, bien sûr pour en faire, mais c'est des choses, bien sûr, que je dois faire, bien sûr, puis de dire que la géopolitique est mon intérêt spécial. Et puis j'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant en 2019. En octobre-novembre 2019. En octobre-novembre 2019. Fait que ça fait plus que 5 ans, puis je célèbre 5 ans depuis que j'ai survécu. J'ai survécu la COVID. 5 ans depuis que j'ai survécu la COVID, là. C'était vraiment malade. Fait que la géopolitique. Bon, la géopolitique, c'est mon intérêt spécial. Puis je suis un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique, encore une fois, qui a prévu la situation actuelle de manière générale. Puis en conséquence, j'ai créé un entraînement physique qui ne requiert aucun équipement, qui est simple, de manière que ça ne requiert aucun équipement, mais c'est d'une manière simple. Mais dans le fond, c'est pas... Ça dépend et ça prend du temps pour le faire. J'ai fait moi-même 372 entraînements physiques, 360, la pollution, oui. Mettez ça dans le recyclage, s'il vous plaît, jetez pas ça là-bas. C'est peut-être le vent, là, mais quand même, faites attention. Oh, il faut qu'on nettoie. Ah ouais, pour la prêtresse Anne, pour la danse qu'on établit là, la Ligue de danse de l'Amérique du Nord Integrée, puis la Ligue de danse... l'armée de la déesse qui danse, la déesse qui danse. Et bien sûr, c'est des choses qu'il faut que je fasse moi-même, dans cette point de convergence. Donc, avec l'autisme hautement fonctionnel, c'est quelque chose que je dois diriger dans le direct. Des fois, on peut être offensif, on peut sembler, c'est pas par volonté, là, tu sais, pas par volonté qu'on est de même, mais c'est juste que notre condition de neurodivergence, ça fait qu'on a ces petites choses qu'on n'est pas capable de faire l'implémentation, qu'on savoir quand parler, puis de manière de dire. On peut être offensif et s'exprimer de cette manière-là. Puis c'est juste cette condition de... C'est cette condition de neurodivergence qui fait qu'on est quand même bizarre. C'est comme tantôt, tu sais. L'Asperger's, ça fait que notre cerveau est différent. Fait que cette différence de cerveau, on voit les choses d'une autre manière. Fait que la compréhension des normes de la société deviennent plus difficiles. C'est des choses comme ça. Fait que c'est ça qu'il faut que je fasse du travail constamment moi-même, tu sais. Pour moi-même puis pour l'individu. Pour moi-même puis pour l'individu, tu sais. Pour moi-même pour l'individu. Parce que je suis un individu, tu sais. Moi-même, je suis un individu. Je suis un individu, puis je suis dans ce collectif, puis bien sûr dans ce collectif, pour en faire bien sûr de ces choses qui sont plus difficiles, comme l'interaction sociale. Ça peut être très difficile pour moi-même d'interagir de manière adéquate dans les normes, parce que tu sais, l'espace personnel, c'est quand même une norme non écrite de la société, mais moi, comme tantôt, tu sais, j'ai approché tellement proche, il faut que je recule, parce que c'est du travail constant, engager ces caractéristiques. Fait qu'en étant différent, je suis différent. Je suis différent, puis c'est juste que j'ai de la misère, puis j'ai souffert beaucoup, perdu d'emploi, puis beaucoup de pertes d'emploi. Ça a des Asperger, malheureusement. Le problème, c'est que garder un emploi à long terme, c'est plus difficile pour les autistes hautement fonctionnels. Nous, il faut nous dire des choses plus directement, des choses comme, tu sais, placoter blabla des autres, c'est le gossip, là, le parler dans le dos, on appelle, mais ces choses-là, c'est comme, ouais, mais là, tu sais, c'est pas parce qu'on peut pas, ces choses-là sont, notre cerveau est différent, fait qu'on bloque, on sait pas quoi faire vraiment, puis c'est comme, ok, la personne est-tu là pour parler? Non. As-tu des solutions pour résoudre le conflit ou le problème? Je peux-tu faire quelque chose? Peux-tu faire quelque chose? Parce que nous, aussi, on va pas dire, tu sais, mettons, la compassion, on l'a, mais on l'exprime d'une autre manière. Que la consolation verbale, je veux dire, parce que, tu sais, dire, ben, je suis neurodivergent, ou, mettons, mon ami, puis juste un ami avec bénéfice maintenant que je veux, pour dire, bien sûr, que, mettons, j'ai mal au cou, ou t'as dit, j'ai mal au cou, ou je vais dire, ben, tu veux-tu un petit massage, ou tu dis, j'ai faim, tu veux-tu j'ai quelque chose à manger, tu veux-tu je te prépare, fais de quoi manger, à place de dire, ben, je m'excuse, ou, mettons, t'as mal, tu viens de t'entraîner, puis tu dis, ben, oh, je vais avoir une journée, je suis fatigué, ou j'ai mal au dos, puis je vais demander, tu veux-tu un petit massage, ou quelque chose, à place de dire, ben, je suis désolé pour toi, je m'excuse. Tu sais, c'est comme, puis une autre affaire, tu sais, mettons qu'on demande comment ça va. Moi, en tant qu'individu, là, je vais dire, ben, je suis financièrement stressé, ou je suis comme ça. Puis là, tu sais, on s'attend à dire, ben, ça va bien, je suis correct. Mais les aspis, pour moi, un individu de l'aspi, on va peut-être dire comment qu'on ressent. Si on n'est pas à la bonne, on va le dire. C'est ça qui est bizarre, là. C'est ça qui est bizarre, tu sais, pour nous de travailler, puis faut qu'on travaille. Notre cerveau il est différent. Notre cerveau il est différent, fait que, mais on a des forces, hein. On a des forces. Puis moi, c'est la géopolitique. Puis je prends de la fierté. Je prends de la fierté dans le monde de la géopolitique. Parce que dans la géopolitique, c'est ça mon intérêt spécial. Fait que c'est ça que je connais. C'est ça que je fais du travail. Même aujourd'hui, avant de partir, j'avais parti de bonheur. Puis bien sûr, j'ai dit, qu'est-ce que je vais faire? Je vais bien sûr partir à 7h18. Je me suis fait un café à 6h44 le matin. J'ai bu, je dis m'en vais, mais après ça, j'ai ouvert la télé. Je dis non, je l'ouvre pas. Puis j'ai finalement fait un 44 minutes et quelques secondes, quasiment 45 minutes. Quasiment 45, proche de 45, peut-être une couple de secondes jusqu'à 44 minutes et 50 quelques secondes. Là. Puis bien sûr, c'est ça que j'avais fait de l'interprétation. Fait que moi, c'est constamment la géopolitique, l'entraînement physique, la danse, puis le rock and roll. Fait que ça préoccupe toute la vie, tout le quotidien. Tout le quotidien, bien sûr, qu'on fasse. Fait que dans ces choses-là, dans le quotidien, bien sûr, qu'on fasse, c'est des choses qu'il faut qu'on aille, bien sûr, dans ce point de vue complémentaire. Fait que dans ces choses de la vie, les principes de la vie, c'est plus difficile. Les interactions sociales. Mon cerveau, il est différent. Les aspis, notre cerveau est différent. On a un cerveau qui est différent. Fait qu'on processe. On a de la misère dans ces choses sociales. On n'est pas bon. On n'est pas capable. Il faut nous le dire. Il faut nous parler. Il faut nous le dire, nous parler. Puis nous dire, on n'est pas capable. Il y a la poème ici. La poésie. Il y a des poèmes partout ici. En fait, du rock'n'roll poétique, mais bon. Fait que là, je vais discuter parce que je prends fierté de mon travail. Hein. La géopolitique. Fait que... La géopolitique, la géopolitique. Fait que bien sûr, dans ce point de vue que j'ai prévu la situation actuelle, c'est des choses que je vis avec.
Non, non, le point d'interrogation.
Pour l'ami. Eh bien, je pensais que c'était des gens que j'avais rencontrés l'année passée, mais je suis pas sûr. Je pensais que c'était des gens que j'avais rencontrés l'année passée, mais je suis pas sûr. Je pensais bien sûr que c'était des gens que j'avais rencontrés l'année passée ou là des années, parce que j'ai perdu beaucoup d'amis. Hein. C'est de la misère. Nous, les Asperger, les autistes fonctionnels, on a de la misère à se garder des amis. Des amis, on a de la misère à se garder des amis, c'est ça le problème. On avait... Parce qu'on est différent, fait que et c'est 0,44% de la population mondiale. Là. C'est moins d'1%, moins de la moitié d'un pourcentage. Fait que c'est sûr qu'on peut paraître étrange. Puis malheureusement, il y a un style avec la violence, mais on n'est pas violent. Moi, j'aime pas de la violence. Hein. Je vis en hypervigilance, j'ai bien des cicatrices, j'ai vécu des violences qui m'ont été causées. Je me suis fait attaquer dans le métro dans un couple d'années de mariage, j'ai tombé, je me suis fait cogner la tête. J'avais disloqué mon bras droit. Je suis allé à l'hôpital, ils m'ont replacé le bras droit, j'ai mis des médicaments. J'étais comme dans un petit coma d'un couple de jours, j'ai mon propre épisode de pirate silicien. J'ai mon propre épisode des pirates siliciens, j'ai mon propre épisode des pirates siliciens. Mais je vis aujourd'hui avec jovial, puis en stress financier, j'ai eu bien de l'emploi, j'ai aimé durant la COVID. Puis la théorie de la refusion de la dette, ben, c'est quelque chose que je prends en fierté dedans, tu sais. C'est quelque chose que je vis avec. La TRD, il faut faire l'implémentation. That's it, that's all. We're gonna go with the rock and roll.